You're standing in a grocery store right now, looking at a bottle of ketchup, tomatoes, vinegar, sugar, salt, a condiment, something you squirt on fries without thinking twice. But what if I told you that less than 2 centuries ago, this exact product was sitting on pharmacy shelves? What if doctors were prescribing it? What if people were taking spoonfuls of it to cure their diseases? This is the story of how America's favorite condiment was once America's favorite medicine. And the truth is far stranger than you'd ever imagine. But before we unravel this medical mystery, do me a quick favor. If you love discovering how everyday things have bizarre histories, hit that like button. It genuinely helps more curious minds like you find these hidden chapters. Now, let's go back in time. Here's what we know today. Americans consume roughly 196 million bottles of ketchup every single year. It's at every diner, every barbecue, every kitchen table. We put it on burgers, hot dogs, eggs. Some people even put it on pizza. It's so normal, so mundane that we never question it. But here's the thing that should make you pause. In the 1830s, this wasn't food. This was pharmaceutical-grade medicine. And people genuinely believed it could cure everything from jaundice to indigestion, from diarrhea to rheumatism. How does something go from doctor-prescribed medicine to fast food condiment? How does that transformation even happen? The answer requires us to travel backward through time, peeling back layer after layer of forgotten history. Let's start our journey in the recent past and work our way back to the shocking beginning. But first, ask yourself this: when was the last time you actually thought about what ketchup is? Not what it tastes like, but what it actually is. Keep that question in mind. Let's rewind to 1981. Ronald Reagan is president, and his administration makes a decision that sounds like a joke but was completely real. They attempt to classify ketchup as a vegetable in school lunch programs. Think about that. The government is trying to say that ketchup, this sweet tomato paste in a bottle, counts as a serving of vegetables for school children. The public outrage was immediate. Late-night comedians had a field day, but here's what's interesting. This wasn't just bureaucratic insanity. By 1981, ketchup had become so thoroughly embedded in American food culture that officials actually believed it could serve as vegetable nutrition. It had traveled so far from its medical origins that it was now just food, completely normal food. Going back further, through the 1950s and 60s, ketchup advertising focused entirely on taste, family dinners, and American tradition. Watch any commercial from this era, and you'll see happy families, backyard cookouts, wholesome Americana. Not a single mention of health, not a whisper about medicine. The transformation was complete, but this wasn't always the case. Because if we go back just a few more decades, something very different was happening. Now here's where it gets weird. Are you ready for this? Step back to 1876. Henry John Heinz launches his ketchup company. But he's not marketing medicine anymore. By this point, he's smart enough to know the medicine claims are fading. Instead, he does something revolutionary. He markets purity, cleanliness, safety. And this matters because in the 1870s and 1880s, food manufacturing is basically the Wild West. There are no regulations. Companies are putting sawdust in bread, chalk in milk, copper sulfate in vegetables to make them look fresh. Ketchup was particularly notorious. Most manufacturers were using coal tar dyes, benzoate preservatives, and who knows what else. Some ketchup was so contaminated it actually could make you sick. Heinz changed the game. He used clear glass bottles so customers could see the product. He refused to use preservatives. He built his entire brand on trust, and it worked. By 1905, Heinz was selling 5 million bottles annually. But here's the critical thing to understand. Heinz didn't invent ketchup. He didn't even invent tomato ketchup. He just industrialized it and made it respectable. Made it food. Because before Heinz, before mass production, before pure food laws, ketchup was something entirely different. And this is where the story gets truly bizarre. A doctor named John Cook Bennett makes an announcement that will change everything. He publishes articles in medical journals claiming that tomatoes can cure diarrhea, indigestion, rheumatism, and jaundice. But Bennett doesn't stop there. He creates a concentrated tomato product, a thick paste, an extract, and he starts selling it as pills. Tomato pills. Actual pills made from tomatoes, marketed as medicine. And America goes absolutely insane for them. Within months, other entrepreneurs see the opportunity. They start creating their own tomato medicines, but pills are expensive to manufacture. They're difficult to distribute. So someone has a brilliant idea. What if we just made it into a sauce? What if we called it ketchup? Now we need to go back even further to understand why this even made sense to people. Because the word ketchup didn't originally have anything to do with tomatoes. The word comes from the Hokkien Chinese word ketchup or the Malay kicap, which referred to a fermented fish sauce. British sailors encountered it in Southeast Asia in the 1600s and brought the idea home. For the next 150 years, ketchup in England and America meant various dark, fermented sauces made from mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, or anchovies. These were used as flavor enhancers and digestive aids. Then in 1812, something crucial happens. The first tomato ketchup recipe appears in print in James Meas's cookbook. But here's the key detail everyone forgets. At this time, most Americans believed tomatoes were poisonous. Seriously, tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, same as deadly nightshade. For decades, Americans grew tomato plants purely as ornamental decorations. They thought eating them would kill you. So, when tomato ketchup first appeared, it wasn't a condiment. It was a brave, medicinal preparation. Something you consumed carefully, in small amounts, for health purposes. The recipes were nothing like modern ketchup. They were thinner, darker, heavily spiced with cloves and allspice. They contained no sugar. They tasted medicinal because they were medicinal. Then Dr. Bennett came along in 1834 with his tomato pills, and suddenly tomatoes were the cure-all miracle food. Entrepreneurs started making tomato ketchup in mass quantities, marketing it with health claims, selling it at pharmacies alongside actual medicines. The medical establishment bought into it. Newspapers published articles about the health benefits. For nearly 2 decades, ketchup was legitimate medicine in the public consciousness. But here's the twist within the twist. Dr. Bennett, the man who started this entire medical ketchup craze, he was a fraud. By the 1850s, medical investigators discovered that Bennett's tomato pills contained almost no tomato extract. They were mostly laxatives and chalk. He'd made a fortune selling fake medicine, sparking a nationwide health craze based on pseudoscience. The tomato medicine bubble burst. Quickly, companies pivoted away from health claims. They started marketing it as a condiment instead, adding sugar to make it taste better, refining the recipe to appeal to palates rather than pharmacists. And slowly, generation by generation, people forgot that ketchup was ever anything else. So let's connect the dots. A Chinese fish sauce becomes an English mushroom sauce, becomes an American tomato medicine, becomes an industrial food product, becomes so normal that the government tries to call it a vegetable. That bottle in your refrigerator right now? It's the descendant of fear turned into hope, pseudoscience turned into industry, medicine turned into comfort food. The tomato went from deadly poison to miracle cure to burger topping in less than a century. And most people have no idea any of this ever happened. Every time you squeeze that bottle, you're participating in a story that involves Chinese sailors, snake oil salesmen, industrial revolution moguls, and government regulators all fighting over the definition of a single product. History isn't just about kings and wars. It's about the ordinary things we never question. It's hidden in plain sight, waiting in your kitchen cabinet. Ketchup was medicine because people needed hope. It became food because society needed nourishment. And it stays in our culture because we need connection to something familiar, even if we've forgotten why. The next time you grab that bottle, remember, you're not just reaching for a condiment. You're reaching through 2 centuries of transformation, controversy, and reinvention. If this story completely changed how you see your kitchen, smash that like button and subscribe to Hidden Chapters. We uncover the forgotten stories behind everyday things. Drop a comment and tell me, what ordinary object should I investigate next? Your kitchen is full of hidden histories. Let's discover them together.